Thomas Sowell.
What the welfare system and other kinds of governmental programs are doing is paying people to fail. Insofar as they fail, they receive the money. Insofar as they succeed, even to a moderate extent, the money is taken away. This is even extended into the school systems, where they will give money to schools with low scores. Insofar as the school improves its education, the money is taken away, so that you are subsidizing people to fail in their own private lives and become more dependent upon the handouts.
We have expectations built in today about the quality of life, the quality of job, the level of income for which one expects in return. Why? Because we look at the level around us that it takes us to have a fairly decent level.
No, that's not why. I may have all sorts of expectations. The question is, what can I do? If someone else is subsidizing my expectations will be far higher. Insofar as the Center for Advanced Study was subsidizing my expectations a few years ago, I refused to work at UCLA for the normal full professor's salary. Why should I, when I can get the same money for being at the Center for Advanced Study with no hours, no duties, and no classes?
Cut off.
Wow. Wow, it's interesting that you said that we have expectations, right? But expectation is just something that exactly it's a prediction, but it's not equal to result. That's why when people expect some certain numbers when they are recollecting taxes, most of the time they cannot recollect the amount of the taxes that we're expecting. Expectation is just an abstract concept unless there's results. Clearly, the welfare system has now given us no results regarding poor, because it's exactly what, like Thomas Sowell said, if you are performing better, right? If you're getting more money, that welfare or that money is taken away. So now your income is being cutting, let's say, not in half, maybe in half some situations. But let's say if you're earning less than $20,000, you probably qualify for this. Is just an example. I don't know what's the number. Qualify for welfare. All of a sudden, you're making $25,000 now plus welfare. Now we take the welfare out of your help. That means that you now, instead of having 45,000, you have now 25,000, because if you have a job that's making $25,000, you're receiving, let's say, $20,000 of welfare. That $20,000 out. Now, if you went from 45,000 back to 20,000. So some people say, you know what? Instead of making 20,000 or 25,000, let me just keep myself nice and happy with $19,000 plus the welfare. Now, it's just a dependency. So all of a sudden, you go into the workforce, not even giving the best, because you're already incentivized with the behavior you already have.
Off welfare tomorrow, what will they do? What will be their immediate response? At what price to their small children and to their
that's an emotion argument.
Middle-aged children? Yes, they'll get a job. In fact, the statistics show that women, in fact, are the most successful through the employment program. But what has to supplement that typically is the provision of some kind of daycare arrangement. Either the individual woman has to earn enough money to be able to pay privately for her daycare, or in fact she is, quote, subsidized through this insidious corrupting set of programs run by the federal government, which in fact makes her employable and a taxpayer. It's an interesting notion of trying to get people in a productive mode.
Tom Sowell.
I want to give you the benefit of the
doubt. The way you start the story in the middle, as if there's a predestined amount of poverty, a predestined amount of unemployment, and that the welfare system is not itself in any way responsible for that.
There is a predestined 20% of the bottom half of the population.
I have never, that's always been true.
There's going to be 20% at the bottom.
With you. It's also true that 20% of the bottom population doesn't have to be living on the government and ruled by the government. You mentioned, for example, the female-headed household. Many of those, in addition to the grown woman who has all the kids, are teenage pregnancies. There's not a predestined amount of teenage pregnancy. I grew up in an era when people, and particularly blacks, were a lot poorer than today, faced a lot more discrimination than today, and in which the teenage pregnancy rate was a lot lower than today. I don't believe there is a predestined amount of teenage pregnancy, a predestined amount of husband desertion. Gutman has done a study of the black family showing that this whole notion that the black family has always been disintegrating, that is nonsense, that his studies go up to 1925, the great bulk of black families were intact, two-parent families up through 1925 and going all the way back through the era of slavery. So it is now only within our own time that we suddenly see this inevitable tragedy which the welfare system says it's going to rush in to solve, but which it is itself a part.
We're talking about a very small group. We're talking about 12% of the families are not intact, are not two-parent families at any one period of time.
I mean among welfare recipients or
No,
the
among
population
the
at large?
public at large. We're talking about 12% of the families.
Wow.
12%.
That's right.
That's a small number. But
Damn.
there's
None of
still
those
a
on welfare.
We're still talking about a
Triple.
significant component of the bottom 20% that are the bottom 20%. Whether they are above the poverty line or below the poverty line, they are still the bottom 20%. And the issue is, what is the responsibility of the other 80%, if any, toward those individuals?
Does your program plan to eliminate there being a bottom 20%?
No, but it intends to raise the bottom 20%. So
You're
that they
raising
can
them by having more illegitimacy, more unemployment. That's
I'm
how
not
you're
making them
raising
have illegitimate children. I hope that's clear.
Oh, I think. Oh, you don't have to do that. You simply subsidize it.
Oh man, why these clips are so short? Man, they're so good. So back then, I don't know. They say that was 2008. That number triple. I don't know even know. Probably now quadruple, quintuple. Okay, so damn man, I went blank a little bit. Okay, so that 20% always has to be there. Never fixed. If that 20% is disappear, what's the welfare system is gonna do? Are they gonna keep themselves alive in the system? I don't think so. Welfare is a problem, folks. It's a huge problem. I have one side of the family that they're in welfare, and the environment that they have created is horrendous. For the fact that it is it is incentivizing bad behavior, bad societal behavior, drugs, family, single mom, family problems, single moms problems. And a lot of these welfare houses, the female is not well, but she's leading, and the kids they fight with each other, they scream at each other. It's a mess. And all in the welfare system because there's always a hood under the roof. So that priority in itself, they don't have to think about that because it's already incentivized by the government, and they don't have to pay that much for rent. All right, $20, $10 sometimes. That's in the island of Puerto Rico, of course. Hasn't worked. Well, I don't know why we keep doing it. Maybe we just trying to just keep one block of the population and tiptoeing them into playing politics. We might need that block of the population just to make sure that they always vote for a certain party. Now the other party, when it's in power, they're afraid to do anything, knowing that that's wrong. What are you afraid of? You're afraid of they telling you you're all these bad things. I think sometimes sacrificing 4 years to get more in the future is not a bad idea. But I think it's just up to us, not the federal government, to just make this thing happen. I think we can, as a society, I think, which I don't like to think as a collective mindset more than individual, but in the collective mindset, we can just get to that point where the conscience has already integrated into the mind of the people that welfare recipients that overdo it is wrong. In an individual level, the best thing you can do is make sure that you succeed in life, and be a good example. Have a good family. Have a couple kids. I'm not talking about 2 kids. Have 4, 5 kids. Make sure that you are successful. That way, people can see it as a good role model. Thomas Sowell, of course, coming from Harlem, makes sense for him to have a very, very good in-depth analysis of the welfare system, which has really destroyed that area. Right now, it's being gentrified, of course, with a lot of people from the Midwest in New England coming to that area, and the property value has gone up, and they haven't. It's not fixing it. I'm okay with that when it comes to fixing, but it's more cleaning. In that way, the property value goes up. You see a lot of coffee shops, a lot of Starbucks, a lot of classical music festivals and stuff like that. So it's being clean. Um, a lot of Planet and Blick Fitness. That give you a good idea that those areas have been gentrified and clean. But of course, that in that in other side, that means that some of those buildings where you have welfare recipients, they might just go away, but they don't want to say anything because the process is so slow that you cannot see it until it happens. What do you guys think? Do you guys think if someone so have a good point on these situation with the welfare, or he's wrong, or I'm wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm not gonna really appreciate it.